So last week I made a post about doing a series of videos around technology planning in schools. So this is something that I spent a lot of time doing, and I wanted to do a few series of videos that goes through and explains each step. And we went through them in the previous video if you want to have a look at what those steps are. But today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the first step, which is vision. And to be honest, for me, and I think for the program as a whole, vision is one of the most important steps that you need to focus on when you are designing a technology program. The reason for this is that a lot of the time people look at the factors that are holding them back, or the state of affairs as they are currently, and that might be the technology that's already in the school, the budget, the fact that they're regional or in metro. And a lot of these factors have led to the decisions in the past that have created the current technology program. And normally when I get called in, it's because that needs to be refined, or it's not working, or it needs a refresher. And a lot of the things we do is start back at the ground zero and say, okay, let's look at what we actually want out of a technology program. To explain what vision is, it's not a word that's written on a wall, and it's not a mantra that we walk around and speak about all day. It's really just something that when we decide how we want technology to work in the school, this is the vision. This is the, how are students going to learn? Are we going to have independent spaces? Are we going to have rows of desks? Are we going to be learning inside a classroom? Do we want a device with each student, or do we want kids sharing devices? Do we want computer labs? And all these questions come into play. And I mean, to be honest, that's only just talking devices. When you start to expand this to STEM, coding, robotics, obviously it can become quite an entailed discussion. So really what I wanted to discuss is how do you decide what your vision is for your technology? And this is not something we can do in a 3-minute video, but what we can do is set the scene of what you should be thinking about. So those few topics that we've just rattled off are things that you need to consider. And you also need to consider the stakeholders. You need to have a think about who's leading, who's going to make up the plan, the team, who do we need to consider? Do we need to consider the students, the teachers? There's a lot of factors there we need to consider. So really what you probably need to do is have this conversation with the stakeholders, and by that I mean the 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are going to be leading this technology plan, and without boundaries, without budget, have a discussion around what you want. At the end of this, when it's successful, what is it going to look like? Because this will change like any vision, but you need to consider the factors and you need to have a good think about it. And this process might take a 2-hour meeting, it might take a few days where you come back after some thought and discussion, but this is really an important step, because without vision, you don't know what you're planning for. You don't really know how you want it to look when it's successful. And if we aim for something that is perfect, without boundaries, without budget, obviously when we aim there, those factors are real, we need to consider them, but when we aim there and fall a little bit short, we still end up somewhere that's really good. Whereas if we aim for something that is a bit average in the first place, then really there's no success beyond that. So it's really important to think about these things, and we'll continue on this discussion as we go on to the next topics. Thanks for listening.